To the gentleman from the first, to everyone here who loves Trish DePriest, I am delighted to be here today to represent the other gentleman from the another gentleman from the first, my late father, Bo Ginn, who served in the Congress from January of 73 to January of 83 when Lindsay then took the seat. I'm also delighted, Congressman Carter, to be here today to represent those who are graduates of the Trish DePriest School of Congressional Staff Service. I started my congressional staff service working for Senator Weitz Fowler. On my second day on the job, I was told to present yourself, Brian, to Trish's office, Lindsay's office, and meet Trish DePriest, and she'll get you squared away with a temporary typewriter in an office and a telephone. Well, when I showed up in Trish's office that morning, she looked at me. I said, well, I walked in the door and she said, well, hello, young man, how can I help you today? And as I've heard her say so many times, I said, well, I'm Brian Ginn. She just went, oh, my Lord, welcome, darling. You're part of the family now. Come on in. So she gave me a big hug, and I have loved Trish DePriest ever since that first day I met her. She's been a tremendous servant to Georgia. She has been our den mother to those of us who served in congressional staff offices up on that third floor in Barnard Street. And she is just a wonderful lady, filled with compassion, filled with care. And as Lindsay and Jack have probably found, as I certainly saw with my dad in his post-congressional service, you get calls from constituents that you've worked with in the past, and you get requests. Well, Trish never worked for my dad, but she was his staffer. When Dad would get those calls that came in, he knew exactly who to call. Trish, will you help me out? And later in the years to follow, when Dad was in Brunswick, actually up in Augusta, Georgia, he and Doug Bernard, Congressman Bernard, would have lunch on a regular basis, and Doug would say, my gosh, Bo, how do you get all these things done for all these constituents being a former member? His one word was Trish. And so Trish became Congressman Bernard's staffer as well. So the first has helped so many people. So with that, I simply wanted to join as a representative of the family of another member of the first to simply say, Trish DePriest, we love you. You are a wonderful, wonderful example of public service, and you have simply been an example to me and to so many others who have come through these congressional offices and have served so very well. Thank you so much for what you mean to all of us. Love you, lady.
Hired Trish, is that right?
Take all that credit.
No, you're going to take all that credit.
Thank you, Congressman. I will tell you one thing. Right after I left, and Jack was elected, now Buddy's elected, I've been very proud to see the two of them carry on in the great tradition of leadership from the first district that we've had over the years, including me and Buddy. Sort of a backhanded compliment there. Listen, the best thing I ever did for the first district, period. And I was there when a lot of good things I never took credit for anything single-handedly. I was involved in a lot of things, but the one thing I can take credit for was bringing Trish DePriest onto the staff of the congressional office in the first district of Georgia. It was really a brilliant move politically, and substantively one of the best things that I ever did. You know, we've talked about this many times, Jack and I. If you're, and anyone else that served in office, if you've ever been elected to public office, you never really get out. You even if you're defeated, and I was not defeated, remember, I left of my own choosing. And you never quit serving the people who voted for you and the people who were in your district. They call day in and day out. I actually have a buddy's staff right now working on an issue for a gentleman who lives in Jacksonville, Florida. But now he happens to be married to Nancy's sister. So that's why the connection's far and wide. And Trish never asked me where anyone was from whenever I'd come. It got so bad, though, that she would do this. Finally, I would call, they would put her on the phone, she'd say, hello? I said, Trish, it's Lindsay. What do you want? And that's the truth, she said. But she was one of these people that, not only in her work, just brought a great spirit to the people on the staff and the office. Her great sense of humor, her wonderful commitment to helping people, just did something to elevate that office, and it was done so well that that office has never been able to do without her until she decided it was time to do something else. But what a great legacy she's left. And all of you there, every one of you, and Jack, you brought on great people, Buddy, you have too. You got a lot of big shoes to fill, and if you would just follow her advice and counsel, every now and then drop by and talk with her. Get that wisdom that she got from working cases over 35 years out of that office. And it didn't matter if it was immigration or whatever it was. Hey, Ann, I just saw you, Miss Mueller.
Hey,
How are you? You know what a great lady Trish DePriest is.
I know. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Sam. But you don't understand until you've been there and been close to it, the importance of constituent service. It is the congressman might be the tree, but the roots in the ground are the staff people who support holding that tree in place. And it spreads out from there into the branches, into the public life, and the life of our country. And what really makes the country great, y'all, is not one single person. There's a lot of good people living good lives. And I don't know one who's lived a better life than Trish. You know, we measure success in a lot of manners. It's easy to say that someone's successful if they're financially successful. There are people who develop talent, whether it's athletically, or whether it is an artistic talent or writing or whatever it might be. And we say they're successful. But I've always believed that there's a difference between success and greatness. And I'll tell you what my judging is. A truly great person is a person who positively influences and helps the lives of other people. Sometimes they're people of the religious sector. Sometimes they're not. But this person, Trish DePriest, if you think about over the 35 years of the people's lives that she's made better, the people that she's helped, and she never asked when a call came in, are you Republican? Are you Democrat? Are you conservative? Are you liberal? When you called Trish's office and you told her what you needed, Trish went to work. And Lord, what a great lesson we can all take from that today. Now, Trish, it's time for you to retire a little bit. You're not going to retire totally. Please don't take on casework from your house. Do what we all do. When I get a call today, and they'll say literally today, Lindsay, I've got a Social Security problem. Okay, I'll help you. No, I want to talk to you a minute now. I want to talk to you about it. I said, wait a minute. And this is an old Herman Talmadge response. Do you want me to talk to you, or do you want me to help you? So what we'll do is to send that into the staff. Trish, that's what you need to do. When people call you, and they're going to call you, they're never going to forget you. Take their number, have them call the office, and get the staff to take care of it. Now, we all know you can sort of elevate the degree of some who might be a little bit more important or a little bit more special to you than others. I never saw you do that, and I know you won't. So just from the 10 years that we worked together, and for all the years since that you've been my friend, I know the great work you've done around the district, and you've been the mainstay of both Jack Kingston and I have been Buddy Carter as well. And you've made a great contribution, not just in who you've served and the people you've helped, but the members of Congress who are important. They do important work up there that you've supported and made the great representatives that they've been. Thank you. God bless you, and enjoy this wonderful period in your life when you can sit back and remember all those great memories and the people you helped, and enjoy it and say, a life well lived. Thank you, Trish. I don't want to miss this opportunity. I get to pass the baton as I did once before. Golly, we see Jack all over television and everywhere else, but let me tell you, what I like about him, I always have. You come down here and you see him here and you put your arm around him. He's the same Jack Kingston he's always been. Jack, it's been a pleasure that you have followed the effort that I put forward and to see the great work you did and the great contribution, and you've had an influence on Buddy as well. You did great work for 22 years for this district, and I'm honored to be here with you.
Lindsay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your friendship and being a mentor over the years. And Brian, I'll never forget the last conversation I had with your dad. It was about the impeachment of President Clinton, and he was telling me about Watergate, and he was just always there for me, and I appreciate it. And so I got to tell you, buddy, that the good thing about the First District is that you don't ever get rid of the former members. And Trish, I don't care what Lindsay says. I'm going to continue to call you at your house. And I already have been doing that, and I will be doing that. But unlike Lindsay and unlike Bo, and apparently unlike Doug Bernard, I did not want to hire Trish DePriest. This is absolute truth. I know it sounds out of place, but I had a broad view because in the summer of 1992, I ate every barbecue sandwich in South Georgia that was offered at a political event, and there were 9 Democrats in that race and 2 Republicans, and one of the Democrats was Brian Ginn, and Trish DePriest, I know for a fact, had a Brian Ginn sign all on her car. And so I remembered that. And being a good high-minded person, I thought, she ain't working for me. And then I got through my primary, and Ann Mueller, who has always been a great political inspiration for me, urged me to run for the State House in 1994. But she and Pat Greco and Merlene Free said to me, now you know you can't get elected without having the South Side of Savannah. The South Side of Savannah back in those days was the Republican area. It was the cornerstone. And these were the 3 godwomen. The godmamas of the South Side, and they came to me and they said, we're going to go door to door with you. And I thought, praise the Lord. And they said, but you're going to have to, we got one demand, you're going to hire Trish DePriest. And I said, okay. Actually, Trish, it wasn't a hard decision because I knew I needed to hire you anyhow to have a fighting chance. But I just want you to know, 3 of the hardest core Republican centers of influence in those days came to me, Lindsay, and said, you will hire Trish DePriest. And that was the end of it. But I want to talk a little bit about, and I have some notes because there were a couple of staffers that we did inherit. The good thing about Trish is when we hired her, it was kind of this collective in the city of Savannah. Okay, she's going to still be there. But at that time, we had one employee, Bruce Bazemore. Where are you? Bruce started in our kitchen table for $50 a month. When I got elected, no, you got $50, Bruce, because I remember. I'm still trying to come up with the money to put it back in the bank, but when I got elected, we doubled his salary, so I kind of feel like I made up for it. But then our next employee was Peggy Lee Mowers, Michael, who's well represented today by her handsome son. And then Floyd Thaxton from Statesboro, and Floyd was a Republican in Statesboro and Bullitt County when there were none. And he said to me, I've been a lone wolf Republican for so long, I'm not about to see you screw it up at this point. I'm going to work for you for $1 a month, because he didn't even want to get paid. But and then we had those 3 staffers and Trish, and we were out of Republicans. There were just no other Republicans. So Lindsay, we got Trish, and Trish stayed on, which was quite a coup. And then Buck Johnson, who went from, I think, Brian to Buddy DeLoach to Barbara Christmas, and then he came to me and said, I've been a Republican and with you the whole race. And if you ever knew Buck Johnson, he was kind of like the male rural version. And we'll leave it at that for now. But we started building our staff. Paul Powell, the late Paul Powell, who just passed away about a month ago, worked for Bogan, and then he said, you got to hire Cliff Humphreys, who worked for you on the Ag Committee, and then Stacy Hall Stevens, who worked for White's Fowler, and then Sheila, who said that was our early staff, and then we had we had a lot of others come along the way, but one thing that always came back to me were the Trish DePriest stories, and a couple of them, Lindsay, happened under your watch. The mule in Log County, who did not know that the bombing range was dropping fake bombs, bucks up, hits his head on the barn door, kills himself, and the farmer demanded compensation. And Trish was able to do that. Or the almost international incident, we give General Schwarzkopf a camel, but you can't let camels into this country. So Trish gets this counterfeit camel out of Miami.
No, Indiana.
Okay, from Indiana. You are admitting guilt, though. That's the important part here. And gets the camel down there, and big ceremony at Fort Stewart, and everybody's happy, and you know, the ceremony ends, that camel gets stuck in a barn, and wants to go back to the desert as soon as possible, or Indiana, but that was a Trish doing. And, or not, we had some actresses in South Korea who got over there. The script changed from a G-rated movie to an R-17, if not an X-rated movie. They wanted out. It was a breach of contract, and they were going to get thrown in jail. American Embassy to get them out of their high-speed car chase before they got inside the embassy. And the one thing she says, "Don't give up your passport." And they did it, and that's what saved them. And then there's the bomb off Tybee, which we had to research because a man told us he knew where that bomb was after all these years. And the Olympics was about to happen, and that bomb was going to blow up the yachting venue. And Trish's whole view was, "Honey, that bomb's been out there for years. Nobody cares about that bomb. They ain't gonna find that thing." Well, of course, engineers $3 or $4 million later decided she was probably right and gave up the search. Known to Georgia would walk in with this catalog and pick up Russian wives and say, "I want this one, I want this." And Trish would just sit there with a straight face and she'd, "Yeah, honey, yeah, you get that one. You get that 19-year-old. I'm sure she's going to be good for your 70-year-old body." But she would calm down all the other people because of that. Handling a World War II veteran who stormed the beaches of Normandy. She looked at that. And then there's just the honeymoons. The honeymooners standing in line, had everything planned. Well, I want to say this. I want to continue to call you at your house, and I will be doing that. But Trish, Paul Powell wrote me a really part of that first district team that really has the heart in the rural part of Georgia, where people do return phone calls and care about you and take care of everybody. And Woody, you've been a big part of that because you started out with Paul in the back room, but I'll never.
Well, before I say just a few words, and before, how about that? Anybody else? Well, let me just say, first of all, I can't tell you what an honor and a privilege. I'm standing here and I'm thinking, Bo Ginn, Lindsey Thomas, Jack Kingston, Buddy Carter, and I'm thinking, that just doesn't seem like it fits in there. But I just can't tell you how honored I am to hold this position. He asked me was, "Are you going to keep Trish?" And I thought to myself, probably a better question would be, is Trish going to keep me? So, of course I was going to keep Trish. You know, I knew going in that it would be important that that two positions would be important. One was that I wanted to make sure I kept Trish DePriest, but secondly, I wanted to make sure I had a good chief of staff, and I did that with Chris Crawford. And Chris and I assembled a great team. I tell people all the time that one of the first things I became knowledgeable of when I became a member of Congress is that it's a team sport, and you have to surround yourself with good people. And we've managed to do that. Many people you've helped. You know, Jack talked about the passport, and someone needing a passport. I get so many calls, so many frantic calls from people. "Oh, we're about to get on the plane, and we don't have this." And I know right then, you need to call Trish DePriest. Here, with so many people, and even in Washington, I will tell you this: they recognize your expertise in that area. When I go to that particular department, they say, "Oh yeah, Trish DePriest works for you, doesn't she?" Yes, she does. I just stick my chest out and I said, "Yes, she does." But that's one area. But
You are a lifer. And I said, what in the, what is that? He said, it's somebody who fits the job and loves it. And I did for the whole 34 years. Thank you.
we also, that I did for you, and I want to give that to you. Forever, you will be in the congressional record. Also, we've got tributes here by Jack Kingston, Lindsey Thomas, and Brian Ginn. Okay? For Paul Ryan, in your honor. Got a letter from Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Majority Whip Steve Scalise, in your honor as well. And we've got letters from the lower chamber, the senators, Senator Perdue and Senator Isaacson. So we've got letters from them as well. And we've got a letter from the governor on the way. So I'm sorry it's not here yet, but you know how to state it sometimes. Anyway. Trish, I can't read that. Can you read it?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
With our deepest appreciation, Trish DePriest, in recognition of your passion, unconditional commitment, and enduring dedicated service of making miracles happen on a daily basis. And it has the seal of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Wow.
Yeah, Woody, go ahead.
Y'all probably already done it, but I'd love to see y'all get a picture of the staffers who she's worked with and the members of Congress
Yes, let's do
collectively
that.
before y'all get
Wouldn't
away.
that be great?
That would.
Let's do it. Jack?
We had a little something from my family to give Trish. Trish, as y'all know, along with being a big problem solver, getting your Social Security check back, getting your passport, getting your veterans check, she's also a shaman. I think that's the right pronunciation. Y'all don't know what a shaman is? She is.
It's a medical voodoo Indian.
She is. Okay, she's a medical voodoo Indian. I'm just quoting her directly. But whatever it is, she's got some crazy cure, and I don't think it's AMA approved, but she's the only person that, that I know who goes to recreational acupuncture.
Yep.
I don't know how it works, but
Very well, thank you.
we are happy to give you 5 visits to the acupuncture doctor for whatever cause you're going up there for. So I just want you to know that. Buddy, as long as it's raining and you're in the need of a filibuster, and Lindsay and you have yielded the floor, I will say this. Now, Trish is a very nice lady, very sweet, very kind, and always knows the right things to say. But she will crack a joke. And I never saw this side of her, but I guess Bruce knows it. But I said, Trish, you've helped so many people. Have you ever thought about all the people you've helped? She said, honey, this is what I think about. When I'm through straightening out people's lives, I'm going to start asking them to sit on the Xerox machine, and I'm going to take a picture. And then I'm going to hang all these pictures up, and those are all the tales I have saved. And she didn't use the word tell, but Craig, but I think about that because you have saved lots of tales, and we'll leave it.
Politely done.
Good times, good laughs, and I got it home and it said retirement card on the little tab above it, and I got it home and I was showing it to Tasha and I said, yeah, this is a card, and I opened it up, and it was a happy birthday card. Yeah, no.
Trish, we love you.
Buddy, I've got a question for you. For those of us who worked with you, Trish, we knew that if we ever had an agency we needed to get in touch with, a nondescript agency, we knew that you'd have the answer to how we would get in touch with them. So we would go into your office and stand in front of your desk, say, Trish, how do I, and there must have been 5 Rolodex boxes on your desk and behind you as well. What's happened with the Rolodexes?
I brought them home.
Did have you got them?
I got some.
They were filled with the most important information that you could ever imagine,
that's right.
and she used them very well. She said she gave you the card, and she said, "Bring it back."
You thank God for the opportunity He's given us to serve people and to serve these constituents, because it is a great honor for all of us. And we could not have had a greater mentor to show us how to do that than Trish DePriest. Trish, God bless you, and thank you.
All right, if anyone's ever been on staff with Trish, if you've worked with Trish in any office, we want a full staff picture. Yes.